Just here, HawaiiRealEstate.org, coming to you live from the beautiful island of Maui, Hawaii. Happy New Year. I thought there would be no better way to start the new year than with an update of what's going on here in Lahaina town. And unfortunately, not a whole lot has progressed since the last time I did a video here, but I thought this might be a good opportunity to shed some light on why things are not progressing here in Lahaina as you would maybe expect. And of course, being boots on the ground here, or I should say one wheel on the ground, I can offer some perspective that others might not be able to, just because I do live here full time, have since 2011, and I know a lot of people that own homes in Lahaina or own businesses specifically on Front Street and some of the neighboring streets. So let's just cut right to the chase and answer the question. Why is Lahaina town not being rebuilt? And let's keep in mind that this is the economic engine of the west side of Maui, and Front Street was the highest revenue district, if you will, for the entire island of Maui. So it's an economic engine that has been completely and utterly shut down. And it's almost a little bit, in my humble opinion, that the apartment vacation rental ban that just got signed by Mayor Bisson, Bill 9, is almost a little bit of a distraction to what's going on here in Lahaina, because we've kind of all been focused on that. Meanwhile, absolutely nothing is happening here as far as a rebuild for the commercial section of Lahaina, which was obviously the employment center for the west side of Maui, and certainly was the highest generating revenue per square foot of any commercial businesses here. And there's absolutely no progress that's been made. So in the thumbnail of this video, you'll see an individual that if you wanted to contact and share your concern with is Maui County Planning Director. And specifically, there's two organizations that have to meet in order to, or one that has to meet a quorum in order to start the discussion of rebuilding this town. And they have not met a quorum. And so in the link, there's not a link, but in the description of this video, I actually have the specific individuals that are not attending these meetings. They only need 4 show up, and they haven't met a quorum. I think they've only met once since the fire, and nothing can happen without this commission meeting. And then of course you have the State Preservation District, which is also causing a lot of delay. And this is information that's coming directly from business owners that I know, that I won't mention their names because it's very political, and of course they don't want to, ruffle any feathers, so to speak, but I will keep them anonymous. But this is definitely coming from individuals that are trying to rebuild their businesses and have not been able to. So on that note, what we're going to do right now is I'm going to show you there's a new section of Front Street that just opened up that you can actually go down. We're going to take a little bit of a drive around, but I thought it might be a good opportunity for you to reach out to some of these individuals and let them know what you think. And I think a great way for them to start the new year tomorrow morning would be a host of concerned individuals from the community, from Maui, from Hawaii, and from around the world saying, hey, let's go, come on. Quit stalling with this bureaucratic process, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove to you that absolutely not one stick of construction has started to rebuild the commercial heartbeat of Lahaina, and I believe it's incredibly intentional. And sort of like this sticker says right here, check it out. We don't know exactly what they're up to, but you see these stickers all over, and it's very sad. But it is a beautiful day. It is a beautiful start to a new year, and I can only hope that hope springs eternal for this town, and that there will be some progress that's made this year. But the individuals that are not showing up for these meetings, I put their names in the description of this video. You'll see who they are. They just need one more person to show up to a meeting to actually hold one. Civil Beat did an article on this, so you can Google up Civil Beat, and you'll see that they called out this problem, I think, a year ago. Where am I located right now? I'm down on the 505. This is the 505 right here, Lahaina Shores, which is now reopened and is taking in guests. One of the things that was said in the Civil Beat article is that if you continue to completely ignore the commercial rebuilding of a town as a tourist destination, eventually the world will go somewhere else. And that's exactly what's happening here on the west side of Maui. Is tourism is significantly down. Room rates are down, occupancies are down, everything is down as a result of, I believe, a complete lack of focusing on the redevelopment and the rebuilding of Lahaina, and of course adding things to the mix such as banning apartment zone vacation rentals, which is over 7,000 units. That's the old Holy Innocents Church location. This is of course where Cam 3rd was, Kamehameha III Elementary School. That will not be rebuilt here, is what I've been told. No, on this side you're going to see a parking lot that does have cars in it. So what they're doing now is a few tour boats are now launching from the harbor. The harbor has been reopened, and the tourists meet right here, and then they're walked down in a specific procession, if you will, down to the harbor, which we will go down and take a look at. So whenever I do come down here, I will admit it's a very somber feeling. There's nothing exciting to me about heading into an area that basically still looks exactly like it did after the fire, with no real signs of life, essentially. These were all businesses right here. Pacific Whale Foundation was right here. Over here, Paia Fish Market, of course, right across the street from the banyan tree. And here's a beautiful shot of the banyan tree. Obviously, you can see it's doing well, which is very exciting. You still can't go up directly next to the banyan tree in the park, but at least you can come by and take a look at it. And thankfully, I believe the banyan tree will recover. Also, link in the description, I put links to the Maui County Planning Director, her Facebook page, her LinkedIn page, in case you just want to check in and share your concerns, maybe ask some questions. It almost feels like we forget sometimes, don't we? We sort of forget that these individuals are public servants. Like, we pay through our taxes for their salaries, and they should be accountable to the public. They should be. So why don't we hold them accountable? Why don't we start asking questions? And in my humble opinion, if they're not doing their job, they ought to be removed. And if you're on the Cultural Commission and you don't show up for a meeting, you ought to be removed from that, because that's your job. So where's the accountability, ultimately, is what I'm asking. I don't know if there is any, but the beauty of our system, quote unquote, our new cultural society, is that through social media, we can share the truth and we can hopefully get answers. And collectively as a group, I think we can move the needle. I truly believe that. And I thank you for doing your little part. I'm trying to do mine, always. So here we are. This is, of course, Lahaina Harbor. I always get a kick out of these boxes right here because they're old plywood and every boat in the harbor burned, but yet these little boxes, yeah, these survived, man. It's crazy. Oh man. So you would think, oh, there was big balls of flame that caught all the boats on fire. Well, wouldn't they catch these little kindles? Wouldn't those burn? I know. So this is the backside of Cam 3rd. And I've heard this elementary school will not be rebuilt because there's some type of remains, which I think is really sad, because to me this is, what a spectacular vacation spot. Yeah, what a spectacular place for a child to go to school. You know, pretty cool. The other thing I found interesting, of course, is that everything around here burned except for the Maui County bathrooms. They're indestructible. It's like a cockroach, right? It survives. It survives the nuclear holocaust, essentially, because it's so impervious. Yeah, anyway. So this is Lahaina Harbor. And you can see this is the, I believe that's the ferry to Lanai. I don't know if that's running again yet. But it is nice to come down here. It brings back a lot of great memories when this was a bustling place with lots of businesses, right? So that's the part of it too. It's like, if you don't have these commercial businesses rebuilt, then that's no jobs. And without jobs, no one can, basically, nobody wants to live here because there's no job. And they're not going to want to rent or buy affordable housing because they don't have a job. Of course, you can see Front Street off in the distance there. But I thought before we head over and I show you the non-rebuilding, this would be kind of cool just to come down here and see this. Beautiful island of Lanai off in the distance. The lighthouse, the West Maui Mountains towering in the background. Normally on January 1st of any year, you'd have multiple cruise ships possibly, and hundreds, if not thousands of people pouring into Front Street. The amount of businesses at these little shops, the amount of business that these little shops did on a daily basis was staggering. So imagine you're somebody that owned one of these businesses and you are patiently waiting to rebuild or reopen. This, of course, is where the Pioneer Inn was. Basically, all of Lahaina town is unrecognizable now without the normal landmarks. There's heavy security down here, as you can see. So in the comments, let me know, are you willing to reach out and ask some questions of Maui County Planning Department? Are you willing to let your voice be heard? So absolutely zero construction happening. And Front Street itself is still closed. You're not allowed, for whatever reason, to go down any section of Front Street. Very glad to see that some of these structures were salvaged. They were not torn down. This is an area where they allow you to park and go surf the harbor. So this is some legal parking, if you will. And you can see some of these temporary housing units have been put up. There's many of these throughout Lahaina, and they are occupied by some folks. You'd see some cars parked there. Here's another one. So these are all Front Street businesses right here. Obviously the large building standing is Fleetwood's. Sorry about that, a call came in. So that is Fleetwood's. I am friends with the owner of this building, so I get some pretty regular updates on the absolute lack of progress. You can see one pigeon. Yeah, it just kind of takes the wind out of your sails a little bit, I'll be honest with you. It never It never gets easy coming down here, but I feel as if there was some signs of life. If you could see different businesses that were going to come back, and you knew that there was a hope for a future in the near future, not 5 or 10 years down the road. And I think it's going to be at this current pace. Who knows? Could be never. But it's really hard to fathom that there's absolutely zero reconstruction that has happened in almost 2.5 years. And like I said, the folks, if you're just joining the live, the folks that I know that own businesses down here, that own buildings, basically they say it's because the very first step is everything needs to be run through this cultural division, and they never meet quorum, and they never, and you can Google it yourself. You know, you can see the very last meeting, I think it was December 4th. 4 members showed up, and the Maui Corporation Council, which is of course the attorneys that are present on every meeting, the attorneys from the mainland said, well, here's your options. Here's your option, which is you can't hold the meeting because there's no quorum, which has happened with every meeting except, with the exception, I think, of one. So that's the very first of many levels of red tape that they're throwing towards the fee simple property owners of Lahaina Town. So what's interesting, of course, is all these, just like any town in the country or any town anywhere in the world, with the exception of maybe communist countries, but all of these are fee simple lots that are owned by individuals, corporations, limited liability entities essentially, and they hold the deed to the property. Yet the government is obstructing their ability to rebuild their structure and to open up for business. So I believe it's a complete dereliction of duty, and there should be people fired and lawsuits filed, and this should not be allowed to happen in our country. If you agree with that, and if you would like to make a small difference, you could thumb up the video and share it and reach out to individuals in the government, whether you're from here or not. I think the more they hear that this is BS, that this shouldn't be happening, this is the outlets, well, was the outlets. Over here, by the way, we just passed my bank, First Hawaiian Bank. Nothing going on there. Bank of Hawaii. This was the I think the medical building. Like, you just kind of forget after time. It's like it all sort of fades a little bit. Everything is just getting overgrown. This is the parking lot of the outlet mall. So this is about as close as I can get to Front Street. It's still shut down all the way up past Bubba Gump's, basically all the way up to the church essentially. But this is the progress of reconstruction of the Maui outlets. What do you think? Are you impressed so far with the amount of commercial rebuild happening in Lahaina, which is absolutely zero? You know, the really scary thing about this for me is, like, when things like this happen, does it sort of prove to us a little bit how powerless we are? Does it prove to you a little bit? Is it that part to me is the scariest part, because, you know, the individuals that own these buildings, they're relatively substantial individuals with, you know, personal wealth, with power, with access to attorneys and access to, resources. We're not talking about the impoverished poor. These are individuals that you would think could move the needle, but they're not. And trust me, they want to. I talked to them. They want to move the needle. They want to get this done. But doesn't that just scare you a little bit, knowing that the government can put such an easy stranglehold on individuals of means, let alone individuals that have no means, right? That's easy. But when you start victimizing long established families from Lahaina, and that's who owns most of Front Street, long established families from Lahaina. These are not outside investors. These are local families that own these businesses. And it goes completely against the narrative that I believe people are being fed from organizations like Lahaina Strong. Because what's happening here is not right. It shouldn't be allowed, but yet it goes on. And that to me is what's really scary. So the question is what are we going to do? What are you and I going to do? I don't know. We can do something though. I know that. So I encourage you, say a little prayer, pray for Lahaina, and ask yourself, what can you do in this moment right now to help us move the needle? I believe God will give you the answer. I truly do. So this is the church that burned. The rectory did survive, which is nice. This is one of the churches that we donated. I forget if it was 100,000 or 200,000. You can see down here in this parking garage is where some of the homeless have been living. This appears to be maybe a bathroom. Looks like a Democratic-run state, doesn't it? Isn't this what you would expect to see in a Democratic-run state? Right? That's it. That's what they want. You would think, Tulsi Gabbard, this was her district when she was in office here. You would think someone like that, you think they could move the needle? You'd think someone like Trump could move the needle. Yeah. You really start questioning all those people, don't you? You just start questioning the whole system. Are there any good guys left? I don't know. What do you think? Are there any good guys left? I don't know. Or is this it? Is this what we have to live with now in our country? It's what I've lived through myself personally. Obviously, I had no interest in becoming some kind of a truth journalist for Lahaina. It just kind of happened. Wasn't until the algorithm figured it out, whoever runs the algorithm, this guy's telling the truth about what's going on in Lahaina. Let's just shut off that channel real quick. And that's what's happened. It's okay. A video like this right after the fire would have gotten, 500,000 to 1 million views. I think that's great to get the word out, right? That's the whole purpose, was to get the word out so we can get some help, so we can get some exposure of the truth. And then quickly thereafter, obviously, it was determined this is a channel that we should shadow ban. And that's exactly what happened. You watch the view count on this. Now, if you share the video, put it on your socials, if you do stuff, maybe it'll help, I don't know. But I'm telling you what, if you saw the numbers after they figured out that I was telling the truth on this channel, crazy, crazy. They control the information, whoever they are. I don't know who they are. It sucks. So I keep doing what I can do. I hope you will do the same. So this is, is it Lahaina residential? Yeah, you can see the condos are really getting rebuilt too, right? You want some affordable housing? Well, this was affordable housing. Channel House, Lahaina Residential, this was all affordable housing. You see any construction going up here? Nope. Why? Nothing. Nothing. Zero. The big goose egg. Oceanfront homes? Nope. Can you go down Front Street? Nope. I mean, heck, they had security on this town for well over a year. So here's some of the oceanfront homes on the north end of Front Street. You seeing any construction happening there? Nope. Glad that landmark survived. There's Lahaina Residential. That was affordable-ish housing. You see any construction going on there? Nope. How about over here? Anything going on over here? Wait a second. I think this was the first house that was approved for a rebuild. So there is a little blade of grass right there, a little sprout. Of course, it looks like there's a lot in front of that. I wonder if this is actually an oceanfront home. It looks like there's a lot in front of that one. I don't know. Interesting. This is shout out Blind Daniel, where Blind Daniel should be living right now, but he's not because it all burned down. But do you see any reconstruction happening here at Lahaina Apartments? Nope. Nada. Nothing. Zero. So does that make you want to go look in the link in the description and reach out to the Maui County Planning Director and ask her some questions? Send her a couple love notes? It does me. I think we're being reasonable. We've waited. We've been patient, right? This isn't like a week after the fire. Is it possible to mobilize a force behind this movement? I don't know. I don't have George Soros money. Any oceanfront homes being rebuilt here on Kaiala? Nope. Kaipali, Kaipali. Nothing. Pu'unoa Beach Estates, that did not burn. 36 Kaipali did not burn. Obviously these homes did not burn. So they have not been rebuilt, they just didn't burn. All right. I couldn't let a video go without shouting out Blind Daniel. Please go to helpdaniel.org. He's a Front Street, was gonna be a Front Street apartment dweller, so to speak, right here, Front Street Apartments. And the cool thing about Blind Daniel is that just walk across the street right here. And he could take his cane and just make his way down to the seawall and hang out with Weaver Dave and just have a nice access to a beautiful little town where he's been for 15, 20 years. His unit was right here next to the apartment managers. Is it being rebuilt? Nope. But please go to helpdaniel.org. If you do anything, even if you don't want to hassle Maui County Planning Director or any of the cultural commission people that don't show up on purpose so they don't have a quorum, even if you don't want to hassle them, even though I think you should, please do me a favor and go to helpdaniel.org. He's a great guy. We're trying to help him because FEMA is about to boot him coming up here in February. And of course, if you're interested in a beautiful home on Front Street, I've got this one for sale right here. (1133) Front Street, just at a big price reduction. right across from Kahoma Village, and quick access to Baby Beach. Should we see what the access is like to Baby Beach these days? Why not? Let's do it. Again, do you even recognize this? It's just almost not recognizable to me. It's not the usual cues. This is the little sidewalk that leads down to Baby Beach. If you remember, Colton and I did a video right here. He was doing the Matterport for this oceanfront home right here. Is it being rebuilt? Nope. I mean, can you even imagine? Like, you've got the insurance money, like you're ready to go, you just bought this thing for like $6 million or some crazy number, and the Cultural Commission doesn't meet every single time. So here we are, Baby Beach. Just a beautiful day on Maui. So you can see Baby Beach is still being utilized by some of the locals and tourists. Here's another oceanfront home. You see any progress over here? Nope. Nothing. Zero. Zero. Now at this point in time, I think it's pretty obvious what's going on, right? I mean, if it looks like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, and it walks like a duck, it's a duck. No question. And I think part of it is that long game. You know, the long game that they play, that long game, that long game. What's the long game? The long game is just, we got all the time, we got all the money, we got all the control. We're not in a hurry. We're just gonna wear you right the F out. That's right, we're just gonna wear you out. We got the long game. It's the long game. So in the comments, let me know. What's your theory? Are you surprised what you're seeing here? Did you know? What were you thinking? Somehow you ended up on this video. Who knows how? The algorithm screwed up, obviously, because they don't want you to see this video. What was your perception of what was going on in Lahaina before watching this? What were you thinking was going on here? How did you end up here? Was it in your feed? Did it actually show? I'm just curious, because it feels like getting this message out is very difficult. It feels like living here, nobody really cares anymore. Imagine, right after the fire, the entire planet is literally trying to help. They won't stop calling and texting and giving and doing, and it just never ends. It's just unbelievable. And then the grifters come in, take all the money, don't give it to the fire survivors. The insurance companies, they come in and kind of slow grill everybody. And then you've got FEMA, they come in, spend billions of your tax dollars. They do a bunch of contracts where a bunch of people get super wealthy and rich off their contracts. And then you got the private citizens that want to rebuild their homes and their businesses. They're sitting here 2.5 years later, empty-handed. So what was your perception of what was happening here in Lahaina before this video rolled, before you saw this? What were you thinking? What had the media convinced you of? Or are you just so dialed into the truth that you knew all this, and this is just a little echo chamber? Is this actually getting out to anybody new? I have no idea. And in the comments, are you gonna do anything? Or is this just like interesting content? I don't know. Does it actually spur any kind of activism? I don't know. I'm in this long stranglehold myself. You guys watch the UFC? You know, it's that moment. You're in a rear naked choke. You got your fingers in here, you're digging, right? You're counter moving, but you're just right almost to like, you're turning purple, you know, and you're just getting ready to tap. That's where I think this town is, man, in my opinion. And does anybody care? The ref is just standing there, won't stop the fight. He's gonna let the guy pass out cold. And guess what? If you don't let up on the choke, at some point in time, what happens? The choke is actually fatal. If you withhold oxygen to the brain for a certain amount of time, it eventually will die. It will. It will die. The brain and the organism that it supports. And in my humble opinion, Lahaina town, this district right here is the economic engine, heartbeat of the west side of Maui. And the stranglehold has been put in place. And I believe the citizens started tapping a long time ago. And who's the ref? Huh? Mayor Bisson? Is that the ref? Who's reffing this fight? I don't even think there is a ref. I think characters like Bisson, they organize the fight. They're betting on the fight. And the fight's fixed. Spinnaker right here. Some more affordable housing. Hey, anything being rebuilt here at the Spinnaker? What do you guys see? You see anything? Any 2x4s? You see any concrete structures? Anything? Any kind of digging going on? Anything at the Spinnaker? This was kind of low-income housing, right? Matter of fact, Teresa, one of the best cleaners on Maui, my cleaner, she lived right here. In the unit right back here. A cleaner lived right here. This is her home. Huh. Has she been completely disenfranchised of her home? I'd say so. Do you see anything being rebuilt here? I don't. Does it piss you off? It pisses me off. Looks like there's a home going up over here, which is nice. Single family home. But what about the condos, man? What about the condos that burned? They are the ones that hold the worker bees, right? The people that, I mean, these are individually owned condos, don't get me wrong. A lot of people rented these condos. But do you see anything being rebuilt at the Spinnaker? Nothing. They don't even take out the trash, bro. So it begs the question, right? It begs the question for me, as a society, what do we do when our government is clearly standing in the way and completely doing the opposite of their fiduciary responsibilities, when you have cultural commissions that are not meeting quorum, when you have so many layers of red tape that even the wealthy, rich business owners that have means can't get permits to start rebuilding. I don't know. Here we have the beautiful Maria Lanikia Church, which did not burn. Praise the Lord. And over here we have Aina Nalu, the fires of Aina Nalu. Remember they had the big bowls in front? This was affordable-ish housing. Look at that. A sea of nothing. This was a sea of beautiful buildings. One of my favorite condominium complexes on the west side of Maui, Aina Nalu. Made a few videos here, sold a few units here. Beautiful pool in the background. 2 pools actually, one there, one there. Do you see any construction happening? Is there any kind of foundations going in or digging or excavating work or anything? Do you see anything? The answer would be a resounding nope. Nothing going on here either. We still have the fire bowls though. Nothing going on at Aina Nalu. Wow. You think it's about time to put a little call or a message into the Maui County Planning Director's office? Does this move you to do anything? I hope so. I hope you'll repost it and share it on your Facebook and your Instagram and your TikTok, and because what are we talking about here? Talking about the very livelihood of people, about their sanity. You know, it's one thing to lose your home, everything you own, to lose a loved one, to go through one of the most traumatic things a person could ever endure, and then to layer this on top of it. It's unconscionable. It is absolutely unconscionable, in my humble opinion. It's unconscionable. It shouldn't happen. And it is happening. It's like, I sell real estate for a living. And, when they talk about, it's a buyer's market, it's a seller's market, what they're really saying is like, who has the power? If it's a buyer's market, the buyers have the power. If it's a seller's market, the sellers have the power. They have the edge. They can kind of, call the shots, if you will. But what about when it's a government market? That's what I'm going to call Lahaina. It's not a buyer's market. It's not a seller's market. It's a government market, meaning what? The government holds the power. Which I find so ironic, because the last time I checked, our government is supposed to be for the people, right? It's supposed to be representative of the people. And I can guarantee you, if you put a room full of people together that own property in this town, and you ask them, is the government doing your will? I can guarantee you they would say, nope, not even close. Not even close. Everybody that I talk to knows the political game that's being played, the propaganda that's being distributed, and it is not representative of a democratic society. It is not. Because who in their right mind, honestly, think about it. Just think about it for a second. Who in their right mind wouldn't want to rebuild their home? Who in their right mind wouldn't want to rebuild their business? After a reasonable period of time, that's what you do. You rebuild, you reopen. So who would be for that? Who? Certainly not the people that have invested their life, their money, their livelihood into Lahaina would want to be shut down indefinitely. Nobody would want that. That's just logical. So the question begs itself, well, who does want it and why? I don't know. I really don't. The obstructionist mentality of the government, the thwarting of the will of the people, I don't understand the end game. I really don't. And I've asked that exact same question to business owners, property owners. I'm like, well, what's actually going on here? They're like, well, we don't know. It's a stranglehold. It's like asking somebody that just got tackled in the middle of the street, assaulted, and they're being choked out, and asking them, hey man, why are you being choked out right now? They're like, I don't know. All I know is it's really annoying. And I hope that this video makes a little bit of a difference somewhere in the world to somebody. And I hope it spawns some type of a understanding, the next step in creating justice, righteousness, and an awareness. Let's hope it wasn't stolen. Stolen by the government. So this is information I was hoping to reveal with an actual document. But one of the individuals that I know that owns a business here on Front Street said that within a year, every person, entity that owned a commercial lot on Front Street was given a letter, sent a letter by the government offering to purchase their land. They put together a fund, and there was a solicitation from the government to purchase their land. I asked him to give me that letter, but he wouldn't, because part of this program is fear. and sticking your neck out, they don't want to do that. But I think it's a confirmed fact that that solicitation did occur. And then also the proclamation specifically prohibited people from soliciting landowners in Lahaina to purchase their land. That was illegal. I think it still is actually, but I find it interesting that the government did it themselves. They wrote a law saying you can't do that in the proclamation, but then the government did exactly that. And it kind of goes back to what Governor Green said right after the fire, which is, you know, we've got plans for this land. So I think they do. If you agree in the comments, let me know. Please share the video, please like, please subscribe, and please look at the links in the description and reach out to the Maui County Planning Commission Director. Let her know your thoughts. And don't be shy, don't be bashful. We could use your help here in Lahaina. So thank you so much for watching, I appreciate it. Until next time, I shall return. I don't know where, I don't know when, but I can promise you one thing, in my humble opinion, this is still the most beautiful place on planet Earth, the best lifestyle I think you can find. And the crazy thing about this, right, this is kind of not what they intended, but this is what's happening. Maui is just almost like COVID now. It's like there's not as many people, the beaches are kind of empty, it's becoming more exclusive. So in a weird way, that makes it a little bit more enjoyable. I know that sounds weird, but in my opinion, I live here, I think it's nice, kind of. So maybe that's their, I don't know. Again, I don't know what their intentions are, but less people, more exclusive, and more for the elite and less for the regular common guy is sort of the direction that this is heading. So if you read between the lines in that, I believe ultimately the market value for these properties will do nothing but continue to go up because people like exclusivity. They like less people around them, right? And it's still Maui, it's still beautiful, it's still the best weather on the planet. The ocean is still a bath water. There's still surf in the middle of Christmas season. And so it's just a wonderful place to be. And it's not gonna change because they're disenfranchising all of these poor property owners. I hope they get franchised. I hope that they get reinstated. I hope they can rebuild. I hope that the regular people can come back and the jobs are put back into place and we have throngs of visitors again because that is the industry that runs this community. But if they choose not to do that, then in a weird way, Maui still wins. It wins either way in my humble opinion, but the people lose. And that's what I don't want. But please make Maui a part of your future. Please come to West Maui and visit. Please rent one of the apartment banned vacation rental zones, and please, above all, make your voice heard. Man, make this the year that you're not bashful and shy and scared and fearful. I think we've become a nation of sheeple. I hate to say it, but I truly believe that can change. And when you wake up the sheeple, I believe there's a wolf waiting underneath. Let's see what you got. Much aloha.